Hey everybody, it's Thomas from the Booze and BJJ podcast. Trying something new with my microphone. I'm actually going to hold it up to my face like it's an actual microphone. Having it sit on my desk seems to be not working very well audio-wise, so we're going to try this. Now, we got sent a video by a viewer, and it's a reel from Facebook. They wanted my opinion on it. Actually, they wanted the panel's opinion on it, but I didn't think this should wait. So I had some time, and I'm going to do a little bit of a solo review. So right off the bat, the primary caption when you open the video is several trans-identifying males have been fighting women in jiu-jitsu. Now, the initial video from the thumbnail that we see here, I've actually seen that video, but I'm not seeing this specific video. I don't know if there's other matches that it's going to detail. I don't know what's going to go on here when we watch this specific video, but we're going to do it right now. So I will do my commentary as we go along. The original reel was posted by the Silent Majority News. Never heard of them, but it doesn't really make a difference at this point. It looks like the write-up from Facebook from the person who shared it, I believe Greg Hamilton, says, "Let me be clear, men should not be allowed to enter women's jiu-jitsu divisions. This guy is 200 pounds plus, and she's 135 pounds. And clearly tried, and clearly tried to overpower her. Thankfully, it didn't work and didn't get injured." I guess he means she didn't. Oh, yes. And she didn't get injured. Not only is this dangerous for women with high potential risk of injury, this man potentially robs every woman in this division of accomplishing the result they train and work so hard for. I'll read this later. It's a little bit hard to read from right now. Everything's overlapping and all the text is white. So we'll go over that later if we need to. But I get the gist of it. So it looks like that write-up, at least the portion that I read, was specific to this particular video that we're about to, this particular match that we're about to watch. But without further delay, let's start it. Let's start and see what we can see. All right, so I'm going to use Mick Pike's pronouns as she, her. I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. I'm already in a little trouble with YouTube. So that's what I'm going to do. Just bear with me. All right, so it looks like what Mick Pike tried to do was a front headlock takedown. And then it looks like from there, she tried to go into Kesagatami, scarf hold. Because if you see here, it looks like Mick Pike tried to push the left arm down of the young lady with the yellow spats. I'm going to call her Yellow. It looks like he tried to push down Yellow's arm to straighten it out for an arm bar. And even though I don't really play from Kesagatami, and I haven't really taught it recently, that's one of the primary attacks that I do from there. So it does look like that may have been what Mick Pike wanted to do. Front headlock takedown to scarf hold or Kesagatami. Now, is that the best for jiu-jitsu? Not necessarily. As you can see here, if Yellow pops her head out, she could potentially take Mick Pike's back. So Yellow's doing a really good job staying off her back from that position. That can be brutal, especially with the size and weight difference between these two. Now let's continue. All right, this part's dangerous. She didn't know that. So Yellow didn't know that she'd be fighting McPike before stepping on the mat. So she did not know that she'd be fighting a trans woman when she was stepping on the mat for this match. Okay. I wonder if she would have taken the challenge. I don't really know very many female training partners of mine that would, because that would be like, for example, Yana taking a match against me, since I'm a 200-pound guy. But yeah, so what we see here can be dangerous, because it looks like McPike has not stopped trying to control Yellow with Keskatami, and it also looks like he still has the front headlock where most of his weight is probably on her upper chest or on her head. I can't tell from here because it's at a wonky angle, but this could get really nasty. This could get really nasty when it comes to the safety of our opponent or training partner. Worst case scenario, all of his weight is on her face or on her jaw, which would just not be good at all. Yeah, let's continue. Yep, right there, scarf hold. That's exactly what McPike was going for. This is classic scarf hold positioning. And he's got the arm trapped, or at least gripped, to attack when he gets settled. But Yellow is doing a very good job keeping McPike from getting settled into scarf hold. No, McPike competed on the boys wrestling team in high school and served in the U.S. Marines prior to competing against women in this combat sport. Well, damn. Let's continue. All right, so it looks like we're moving on from McPike to someone else. Another male military veteran, Molly Price, has been crushing women in jiu-jitsu for years. Really? I haven't seen anybody talk about this at all. Not a peep. All right, let's continue. So Molly explains, I was sexually assaulted in the Army. It's terrible. And thought this would be a good way to help me cope with my fear of men. By entering women's jiu-jitsu competitions? That doesn't really equate to me, but maybe it makes sense to her. I feel bad about the SA. Well, Molly was in the Army. Let's continue. After years of consistently beating up women on the mat, Price says he's not afraid of men anymore. It's odd, but if I don't know, I'm not going to try justifying that. I just wonder what his win-loss ratio is. See, that's the problem with this pronoun stuff. You always get hemmed up. Like here, Molly's referred to as a he. I've been accidentally referring to Molly as a he as well. I'm trying to be respectful with it, but it even I slip up. Anyways, let's continue. Wait, before I move on, is it really worth it though? Let's say if this is honest and accurate, is beating up on women, let's say worst case scenario, he has a flawless win record in the women's brackets. Is it really worth it to do that as an avenue of therapy? Maybe more traditional therapy would have worked just as well or even better. I'm not really sure. I'm bringing that up because I'm bringing that up because it seems a little bit strange to me. That's all. Yeah, whenever I needed a therapist, I didn't just go and beat up on people. Well, people that I didn't train with. But even then, I wasn't really beating them up. I was just, getting a good roll in. Anyways, I'm rambling. Let's continue. All right. Male fighter Cordelia Gregory has also racked up hardware in women's jiu-jitsu. How many people are doing this? Anyways, let's continue. So there are 6 wins against women and has competed in 5 different jiu-jitsu federations tournament organizations. I don't recall, and it's been a while since I competed, but I don't really think that they'd check. I mean, how would they check? You'd have to take your word for it. What gender someone is. Yeah. This is a sticky situation. Yeah, whatever. Let's continue. Gregory was seen crushing a black woman in a brutal duel last year. Another man can be seen and heard cheering him on. Do they mean black belt, or do they? What's the point of pointing out that the woman was black? I don't get it, but yeah, I want to know what the size difference is. Save women's jiu-jitsu. It's a matter of life and death. All right, so a couple of thoughts. First thought. I don't agree with trans women competing in the women's brackets in jiu-jitsu. The musculature, the bone density, the strength advantage, it's still going to be there. Even if you use hormones, I believe I saw a study that said that the average strength advantage that a man gets when they go on hormones only reduces your strength by 5%. So, on average, the average man has about a 30% strength advantage over the average woman. According to the study, that 30% would be dropped to about 25. Now, the numbers could be a little bit off, or they could be completely off. I'm going from memory, from late night readings from months ago. So if my numbers are off, or I'm completely wrong, somebody go ahead and put something in the chat or make a comment. With that being said, the first video where the trans woman was 200 pounds and her opponent was 135, that in itself can be extremely dangerous. It does look like the trans woman was going for scarf hold or kesikatami positioning. The problem is you could hurt a significantly smaller person inadvertently from doing that position. Now, Yellow was doing a really good job staying off her back and staying out of that position. So she did a really good job. And she went to go on to win that match with a guillotine. I honestly think that she came out with the best case scenario, because had the trans woman in that match had less control while trying to apply the scarf hold, she could have got seriously injured. Especially with the armbar attack that it looked like what was going to be applied as the initial attack once scarf hold was settled in. Now, if you do that too hard, especially on someone who's of a smaller frame and not as doesn't have the bone density advantage that a man has, you could potentially pop or break the elbow. I've seen that happen once. It was when I was a teenager and took judo, where a buddy of mine applied scarf hold to a young lady that we used to train with, and then he broke her arm when he tried the arm bar from there. So I do know that can happen. Yeah, I mean, it does look like the second example that the video gave of the trans woman who was using it effectively, using competing in women's jiu-jitsu practice as therapy. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. If you need therapy, go see a therapist, especially if it's for something as serious as SA. Going on the mat and just taking it out on biological women, that's just not right. It's not right at all. Other than that, I think that a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions, the people who throw them need to have some sort of check. Women need to be alerted, or when trans women are competing in their brackets. It's a safety issue. You have to let them have the choice of competing with a trans woman or not. Yellow did not seem like she had that choice during her match, and that could be the difference between a yes or a no. And arguably it could be seen as removing the choice from a natural born woman of doing something in sports. Do they consent to competing against a trans woman? Yes or no? It's their prerogative either way. Yeah, that's a little bit disturbing. And I have friends who are trans. I have nothing against the trans community, but we have to be a little bit reasonable here. There are people who are out there who think that there is no physical difference between a man and a woman, and that's just not realistic or reality. And I'm going to leave it right there. So I will talk to you all on this weekend's live stream, and I will see you all later.